Even reports of the ghost of Lincoln's funeral train traveling from Washington to Springfield. Tonight, let's visit Lincoln's final resting place, Oakwood Cemetery, and see if we can hear from President Lincoln tonight. Well, look, I think I see him now. Good evening, Mr. President.
Well, good evening. What do we have here? This is quite a group. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. I believe this is the last tour on this trip. And I gotta level with you. My name is Honest Abe. But I'm not gonna lie. I am not Abraham Lincoln. I'm George Washington! Okay. A kid about your size came through here, said I looked like Chester A. Arthur. That's what it was. Not Chester A. Arthur. He was a pretty boy. I'm Abe Lincoln. No one's ever accused me of being a pretty boy. I don't even have a mustache. One of my political opponents once, a Democrat, as you would expect, once called me two-faced. You know what I told him? I said, if I had two faces, why would I wear this one? All right, let's get to the bare knuckles. You need to know a little bit about me. I used to live in Indiana. I moved here at the age of 7. I moved here for 2 reasons. One, slavery. My parents, of course my mother died at a young age, just my father, he moved here. Didn't have a taste for slavery. I think you know my opinion on the matter. Not too good. The other reason I moved to Indiana at the age of 7 was because of land titles, of all things. Faulty land titles. My father bought 3 farms in Kentucky. 2 of them were yanked right out from under him. Just like that, even though he paid good, hard-earned money for it. Gone. Indiana, on the other hand, thanks to this ordinances from 1790, required you to survey your property prior to purchasing it, assuring good land titles. You gotta own the land you buy. That was a hard lesson. You probably also heard that upon my death, I came to a funeral train here with my dear son Willie. Willie, of course, had died 3 years before I did. And you're probably wondering, where was he during those 3 years? I'll tell you. He was in a cemetery in Washington, D.C. Upon my assassination, he was exhumed, which for you kids means dug up, and put on a funeral train that came through this very town on our way to Illinois, which is where I moved after Indiana at the age of 21. My dear son Willie and all my sons were such a great comfort to me during the tumult of the White House years. The Civil War, greedy office seekers, marry, other foreign countries, marry, lots of source of stress for me. And I must tell you, my children, especially my dear Willie, were a great respite to me from the humdrum and stress of the White House. Say, do you want to see Willie? I know he's around here somewhere. There he is! Willie, my boy!
Good evening. How do you do?
So good to see you. I was telling these fine folk how many good times we had at the White House.
Oh, I remember carousing around the White House and invading cabins. Why, Tad and I even built a fort on the roof of the executive mansion and armed it with logs made to look like cannons.
I remember it well. Those were good times.
Yes.
And stressful times as well, with the Civil War. And I must say you, my dear Willie, were a great source of mirth and joy to me during those times.
Oh, thank you.
Especially the death of my dear friend, Colonel Edward Dickinson Baker.
I don't know that song about Baker.
Let's hear it.
There was no patriot like Baker, so noble and so free. He fell as a soldier on the deck. He fell as a soldier on the field. His face the sky blue. No squeamish ocean still his breath the union was free. No surrender and no compromise. His day sought and night's dream. But his country had her part to play towards those he left behind. His widow, his children all, she must always keep in mind. And he got published in papers.
And Tumblr as well, I hear. That's a wonderful poem, my dear son. Well, I must bid adieu to you all tonight. Thank you for coming by, and thank you in particular for seeing this wonderful, tearful, yet joyful reunion with my son after so many decades. I look forward to cavorting about tombs and wearing funeral vestments and eating whorehounds and so forth. And I look forward to seeing you again in the future as well. And I bid you a safe trip home. Enjoy your travels. Say, Willie, what do you say we invade the White House kitchen and get some Nutella? I hear it's great on hard days.
Not great.
Good night, all.
Good night.
No blow hit the Lincoln family harder than the death of Willie, who reportedly was his father's favorite and much like him in temperament. The child succumbed to typhoid fever caused by water pumped into the White House through an indoor plumbing system whose source was the fetid Potomac. Willie suffered an agonizing death. After Willie died, Lincoln treasured small items and drawings given to him by Willie, sometimes sitting them all over his desk while he worked, hoping to capture his essence. Small toys that had belonged to Willie were placed on his fireplace mantel, along with a framed picture of Illinois. Lincoln would tell visitors that it had been painted by my boy who died. His friends stated Lincoln would often watch the door while he worked, as if expecting the boy to run through it and give his father a hug, as he often did in life. There have been reported sightings of Lincoln holding the hand of a young boy, presumably his son Willie, walking through the Oak Ridge Cemetery.